Hello my fellow degenerates, my name is Billy and welcome to the AVN channel's review of New Horizon by Kawaii Sukebibi. KS. New Horizons is a Honey Select Mystery Harem AVN available on itch and Patreon. The game is currently in version 0.3, but despite that there's still about 7 to 8 hours of content. Now I am a slow reader so that could go towards that, but there's still quite a bit there. But what does the game actually deliver in that time? Well, let's start with the story. Okay, so in version 0.1 there isn't really much direction for the game, and the developer even says so. He didn't expect the game to be so popular and was just creating something that he wanted to. It's after this that I started to get a bit more serious and try to give the story a little bit more direction. Now New Horizon features some sci-fi cyberpunk elements and also a little bit of what seems like magic, but we haven't really dived into that area as much yet, so we're still a little bit unsure. Either way, the main plot features around an MC whose father mysteriously disappeared 5 years back. Now living with his stepmother and stepsister, he ends up falling in with a group of people who just so happen to be in search for a missing person as well. He is now living this double life, trying to be a regular university student, whilst getting involved in this underground gang life, and inevitably these worlds are going to collide. Haven't really yet, but it looks like we're heading in that direction. Now I really enjoy the pacing of the game, like I have said. We already have several hours of content, yet it feels like we're only just getting started with the main story. But it's done well, the story always has something interesting going on. And at no point was I thinking, can we just get back to the main story? I like the side characters and the plots with them are fun. It also seems like these subplots are going to tie back to the main plot eventually, and if the developer does this well, she's going to be great. But it's still too early to tell about that just yet. And now that I'm sat here thinking about it, without getting into a big spoiler territory, that's all I can really say about the story. There actually isn't a lot to the main plot just yet. It's mainly setting things up and introducing it to people, but that's not a bad thing. The fact that the game has kept me interested for this amount of time while slowly trickling the story elements is great. A lot of the story is just the MC learning about his new world he's getting involved in, which in turn teaches us about it as well. But each time we learn something new, we have more questions needing to be answered, and this keeps coming back more and more, which in turn makes me keep coming back for more. So far, there hasn't been a huge cast of characters, at least not ones that are absolutely relevant to the story. There are a few, but at this point, only a small amount really stand out. That's not to say that the other characters are bad, they just haven't really had much relevance at this point. The first character is obviously the MC, a 19-year-old university student. His mother left when he was younger, and 5 years ago his dad went missing. So pretty much a stereotypical backstory for an AVN MC at this point. He seems to be the nice guy, wanting to help his friends and whatnot, but his main goal in life is to find out what happened to his father. Honestly though, I like this character. When not doing the shady underworld stuff, he's just a regular guy. He's relatable, dealing with day-to-day crap just like the rest of us. But again, it is early in the game, so let's see if he stays this down-to-earth regular guy, or will he let these things go to his head? Which I wouldn't mind if it did, just let it slowly and naturally develop to that point. Miharu. The next character worth a mention is Miharu. Your childhood best friend, she has no involvement in the main plot of the story regards to the MC's father's absence, however she is a major character due to her relation to the MC. They grew up together and over time things blossomed into something a little more romantic, let's say. However, neither of them has tried to move things forward in this direction as they both like each other, but they don't know if the other likes them back. So they are both scared to make this first move. She's a fun character trying to prove herself to the MC without being too obvious, and that leads to some fun situations. And overall is an entertaining character and helps bring the MC back to the real world after his adventures in this criminal world. Ayase. Then you have Ayase. I probably pronounced that wrong, but she's the yin to Miharu's yang, if that's the right way round. These girls play a similar role to the MC. If Miharu is tied to the normal world, Ayase is tied to the underworld. Unlike Miharu, Ayase isn't falling deeply in love with the MC, however you clearly see something is there. And rather than worry about whether the MC likes her, she's more worried about her liking the MC. She likes to deny that she likes him more than just a friend, yet she keeps going on about how great of a guy he is. but she's more of a loner and doesn't want to be involved with someone more than necessary. But we can see things again slowly changing as she's taken a liking to the MC more and more. She's seen as this popular, perfect girl in school, beautiful, smart, and a princess to a powerful family. Bearing in mind this is based in Japan, so it's not the popular bitchy kind of girl you see in the Western kind of stuff, it's the popular perfect girl that everybody likes. What people don't see about her though is her connection to the criminal organisations of the city. She's a badass, a great fighter, and a pretty damn smart leader. Yuka. So we don't really know much about Yuka. She's not had much screen time, but she's your stepsister. And yes, this game will most likely go in that direction because the way she starts acting in the latter part of the current content. She seems like a sweet innocent girl at first, but eventually starts to stand up for herself, and we'll see a bit of a different side to her. I really do hope to see her character develop and continue in this direction in the future. Chika. Chika is Yuka's newly acquired best friend, and looking at some of the comments on the HIO page, not everyone's a fan simply because she's, well, a lady of the night. Some people seem not to like this. Get over yourself, you play AVNs for fun. Anyway, enough complaining. Yes, she is in a bad situation in a game, daddy issues and whatnot, dealing with the hardships of life and doing what's necessary to make ends meet. However, I can't help but feel she is put in this situation just so the MC has someone he can save. The I can fix her situation. Kaho. Kaho's a relatively new character. She's not had much screen time at all, but when she does enter the game, she drops a bombshell on the MC. It's not seen how she will connect to the main story yet, but with her relation and her family, I can see her playing an important role in it. When we first meet her, she just seems like a nice, flirty girl, but the more we get to know her, she seems to have a bit of a screw loose. She's not yandere levels of crazy yet, but she could be a bit of a problem for our MC in the future. Noah. Noah is yet another character that doesn't have much screen time at this point, but she's clearly going to play a big part in the story. She is an assassin, and at this point she is an enemy to the MC and friends. Beyond this, there isn't really much else to know about her just yet. Except, again, she's another badass bitch. Now, I just want a quick run through some of the other characters, the less relevant ones, like the Queen. She's a weapons dealer and helps you on your task. I'm not sure what her relevancy is in a later story, but she may pop up again. Maya and Yuki are twins, two girls on the student council. The MC is using one of them to help get information about the school and its possible involvement in these missing people. However, they're unaware of his real intentions and the missing people. Guja is a magic girl from the shrine. That's all we know about her just yet, but she seems like she will be pretty damn important. Hina is Ayase's friend. I'm not sure how important she will be, however, I did put her name in the notes, so she must have an important impact for some reason. I don't know why. Now, there are more characters at this point, but they serve very little to the main plot. Not to say that they're bad characters, because they're not. I like each of these characters, even the ones that are simply named Student 1 and Student 2 for the majority of the story. They all serve a purpose in the world, even if it's just to fill it in or for a bit of comedic relief. I don't feel like any of the time was wasted on these characters that I thought are irrelevant to the story. On top of this, we've seen some character development in the main characters so far, but it's still early days, so let's see where this will take us. And as you can see, a common theme at the moment with some of the main characters is they've not had a lot of screen time. At the moment, the main focus is probably on the MC, Miharu and Ayase, but there's plenty of room and potential for all these other characters to pop up and become relevant within the story. Mechanically, the game has very little going on. For the most part, it's just purely the AVN with no options. In the latest update, we have been given a few options here and there, but how these will impact the story is yet to be seen. Now, I can happily play a visual novel that is literally just reading. As long as it has an engaging story, I'm good. However, I don't like it when there are options that have no real effect. If the story is just going to progress the same regardless of what option I chose, then don't bother wasting my time with the options. Again, I'm not saying this is the case here, it's too early, but the dialogue after the options is almost exactly the same, except for maybe skipping a scene or something. For example, spoiler, when you get a chance to play a bit of Mahjong, yes, Mahjong is making a comeback, ladies and gentlemen, but when you get to play a bit of Mahjong with Chika, you can choose whether you want to or not. And despite whether you say no or hit them tiles hard, you'll still get this tender, caring friend-to-friend moment afterwards. I really feel like it's out of place if you just chose to Mahjong it up with her. And from this point so far, nothing has changed regardless of the option you choose. It may affect future updates, but again, it's just a wait and see. The visuals are chef's kiss, they're fantastic. I do have to say that some of my favourite AVNs are Honey Select, and I feel like if you have a developer who knows how to use his visual style, it can look really good. But at the same time, it's a fine line to walk, and it can easily look awful. However, KS has managed to smash it out of the park with this one. Some of the renders look absolutely beautiful, and even the regular scene-to-scene renders look good too. Only issue has to be Ayase. When she's in school in her uniform, she looks rather, let's just say broad shoulders. It's like she's wearing extra padding to hide her body from people. Now, I don't mind this, it's just that when she's not wearing that, her body size looks totally different. Another thing to mention is the water effects look great as well. I feel like I have to mention this every time because water in an AVN renders separate the boys from the men. It's so easy to make it look bad that when you make it look good, I feel like it's worth mentioning. The game also has the odd animation spread throughout as well, which are good, but when the characters are walking and talking, or talking and driving, the background never changes. Small thing, but I feel as though everyone just stops to start talking and then carries on once they finish talking. Alright, call me petty, but I refuse to give a game a perfect review, and I have to find some issues, and I'm grasping at straws here, alright? No, and the UI is also clean and easily understandable. The usual text box is easily readable, formatted text. You can also change the size of the font of the box to help if it's a bit too small or a bit too big. Doesn't make a huge difference, but it's an extra option for those who want it. Okay, so the audio, again, is great. It has sound effects for fight scenes as well as other scenes where it's relevant, which is always a big praise from me. But where it really stands out is the soundtrack. This is a double-edged sword, however, it's a great soundtrack, but I can't show it to you due to copyright. Yes, KS uses songs from the likes of Linkin Park and whatnot. I love it, and I really wish someone would put a playlist together with the tracks from this game on YouTube so I can be lazy, but this poses a big problem: copyright issues. Yes, KS may not be earning money directly from the sales of this game, but that does not matter. Now, I am not a lawyer, but what I do know, if you release a product with a song on it that is copyright, it doesn't matter if you make money or not, they can come for you. I have videos on this channel that are forced to have ads due to my choice of music, and my channel's not even monetized. I don't even earn money off it, someone else does though. I would really honestly recommend Koisuke changing these tracks. They sound great and they are awesome on these scenes, but I really wouldn't want to risk running into any issues with copyright. At best, they tell you to remove them. At worst, they shut the game down and financially crush you. I wouldn't want that to happen. Now, some info for the dev here, it's irrelevant to the viewer, but I would recommend at least looking into something like Epidemic Sound. I use it for my channel, and I know other AVNs have used it as well. They have some clause about adult content or something, you'd have to look that up though, but I know other AVNs have used it as well. And don't get me wrong, I am not sponsored by these whatsoever, I just don't want to see another AVN stop development over a silly issue, like the music selection. And honestly, it's really a shame. In no way is it a negative point towards a game. Again, the soundtrack is great, it's just risky. Now, I could be wrong and KS could have permission to use these songs, in that case ignore me, but if not, please, it's not worth the risk. It sounds great, it really goes well with the game, but it's very risky. I won't chance it, personally. I feel that the loot in this game hits the mark perfectly. The ratio between loot and the story is just right. Even manages to add relevant plot points to the loot scenes sometimes as well. And not only this, most of the loot scenes do make sense in context of the story. There is one particular scene that I feel was added because it had been a while since we had a loot scene, but KS didn't want to throw one of the main girls in because they needed plot relevance, so he just threw in a randomer at us to appease the audience. Not only this, the first loot scene was actually in a flashback, which makes me think a reason couldn't be found to add one to the current story, but he needed to add one somehow. But beyond this, they're good. They usually consist of longer, well-looped animations with multiple camera angles, and even sometimes a bit of picture-in-picture. The sound effects are good, mainly focusing on the female's voice, or better yet, solely the female's voice. Hopefully, going forward, we will keep it like this. I don't want to feel like the story is being put on hold for the lewd, but if we can manage to keep the lewd relevant to the story, then that is great. Okay, this is going to be a difficult one. A choice of 2 characters with this game. Yes, the other girls are great, but the only 2 really stand out at this point, and that's Miharu and Ayase. But there can only be one, and that girl is Miharu. Oh, don't you hate me? I know there's going to be some people screaming right now. Why not Ayase? I mean, I've just done the AVN awards for the AVN community, and she got nominated for one of the best girls of the year. And I'm putting her to the side for somebody else in the same game. Ooh. And it was a hard choice, don't get me wrong, but at this point, I feel like the relationship between Miharu and MC is just a bit more developed. I enjoy the will they won't they situation, the casual friendly mahjong but wanting to take it to the next level but unsure of how the other will react despite them both wanting it. Now, I do think once we develop more into the relationship with Ayase and the MC, she will definitely take the lead, but at this point, I have to say Miharu, but only by a small margin, so don't kill me. Please. So, that's New Horizon, relatively young AVN in only version 0.3, but despite that, there is a good amount of content available. I mean, I did plan on going on this channel going forward saying if a game is either before the halfway point or less than 5 hours content, I'm just going to do a quick review of it rather than a fully in-depth one, but there's that much content available at 0.3, I feel like it deserves a decent actual full-time review. And after seeing what's on offer so far, I do have high hopes for this one in the future. I didn't really find any major issues with it. I'd say it's definitely worth checking out at least, and remember, if you can, support the dev if you enjoy it. The game looks great visually and has an engaging story. Hopefully, KS keeps it up and doesn't get lost in adding too many fantasy and sci-fi elements. So far, it's enough to keep it grounded in reality whilst having enough to be a good mystery to unravel. Either way, I can't wait to see what's to come with this one, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. So should you.